Good evening, everybody. This is Joe from the Middle Ground Mike. I hope this is catching everybody doing well. Well, we have some progress here on the food dye situation from Robert F. Kennedy and the FDA. They have approved three new natural food dyes to be used in our foods. Because they are working to transition away from petroleum-based dyes. They're going to working on expanding the palatable available colors from natural sources for manufacturers. The colors are Galderia Extract Blue, Butterfly Pea Flower Extract, and Calcium Phosphate. I guess the targeting used for these products are drinks including non-alcoholic beverages, fruit drinks, smoothies, fruit juices, veggie juices, dairy-based, blah, blah, blah. So a lot of your, milkshakes, flavored yogurt, milk-based, pretty much a lot of beverages that are very common and considered okay for you. Breakfast cereal coatings. Good that they're getting rid of the petroleum-based dye, but unless they are really changing how breakfast cereal is made, kind of seems like a fallacy move. But hey, step's a step. They're also going to be using those in hard candy, soft candy, and chewing gum. They're talking about flavored frostings, ice cream, and frozen dairy desserts, frozen fruits, water, ices, liquid creamers, whipped toppings. Neat fact is the butterfly pea flower extract. It's produced through the water of extraction of dried flower petals of the butterfly pea plant. According to the FDA, it produces a blue color that can be used to create shades of bright blues, intense purples, and natural greens. So, hey, it's not bad. This one will be used for your ready-to-eat cereals, your crackers, your snack mixes, your hard pretzels, plain potato chips, plain corn chips, tortilla chips, and multigrain chips. While we're on that, if you ever, look up Ritz crackers, Ritz, everybody loves your crackers. Put something else in them. I love your crackers. When my stomach has hurt so much over the years, your crackers have been a godsend until I found out what was in them. And my gosh. Calcium phosphate, they're going to be using it for ready to eat chicken products, white candy melts, donuts, sugar for coated candies. That's just some of the good things that are going there. Something that I kind of wanted to touch on that I don't really touch on a lot. I'm somebody who battled, still battles, weight loss most of my life. And, and I'm not blaming anybody for it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not pointing any company out or anything. We all do need to be better at making our own choices in life, and we all wish we were. But, I don't think we talk enough in life about how some of these things, that at one point in the 90s, 80s, and early 2000s, a lot of these companies were owned by, that made a lot of these products were owned by the cigarette manufacturing, their parent companies, and those were geared around towards addiction. And, a lot of people battle alcoholism, they battle pills, they battle drugs. I battled, call it fast food, but not really as much because I can walk away from eating anything. May not look like it, but I can. I can walk away from anything except for when it comes to drinking pop. It's a very difficult thing, they say you associate certain things like emotional responses, some people, hey man, I need that coffee in the morning. Oh, hey, I need this and I need a cold beer after work. Me, man, you put an ice cold Pepsi or Mountain Dew in my hand after whatever, I'm a happy camper. And that stuff is absolutely terrible for you. There is no real benefit to any of it. There's just not, but it gives you that dopamine, and it helps in that aspect, but it also creates a dependency on it. And I think that while I'm glad that they are doing the food dyes, and they are going after them, I really wish we worked on teaching people how to think about these foods too, not just getting rid of the dyes, because the dyes aren't going to get rid of the psychological dependency based on how our society is. And again, I'm not blaming anybody, and schools and places like that do a lot better of a job now, to where generally Pepsi or whatever is not your first choice. They'll have like different kinds of things, but so I've just always kind of want to talk about that. I at one point in my life, this was years and years ago, I would drink 24, 30 cans of pop a day, and 3-4 days later I'm like, and then just maybe not every day that much, but I drink a lot, right? I could go to the doctor the next morning, do a sugar test, perfectly fine. Even to this day, I could drink 2 liter, for your fasting blood sugar, and all that. I can drink 2 liter and just, I don't, those things just don't show up for me. It's just very weird. My body just consumes it. I don't know. I'm not like a nutritionist in that aspect, but I think it's huge. That I was able to do that, but I also think that was like a downside for me too. I guess it's just, it's really hard to nail down, why pop is so addictive. And I think it's a lot more addictive than anybody wants to talk about. I don't know. I mean, I've Googled, there's some people who talk about it, but I just don't think there's enough, right? Because it's such a powerful product, and it's such a profitable product for a lot of companies, even the industry that I work in, but everything in moderation is fine for you. Just like there's some, just like in Germany, drinking beer is so normal and average and people don't treat it the way that we treat it here, right? Where people tend to be massive, let me rephrase that. People can end up being massive alcoholics, binge drinking, where that stuff is they're not immune from it, but over there, drinking beer is kind of almost like drinking tea, depending on the situation. So the tendency to abuse it is not as prevalent as it is here in the United States. I think some of that just comes from how our culture is. And I don't mean that as a bad thing. I just wish there was a little bit more, towards it. I think that's very, very important, and I just don't think it's something that we talk about enough, that pop can be addictive. And I know that everybody say, oh, it's bad for you, you should know better, your parents should know better. There's a lot of things we should have done in life, right? But I think pop being addictive, sugar drinks being addictive, is something that needs to be talked about. It needs to be pushed, and not just gone, sugar drinks are bad, stop drinking sugar drinks next. Because kind of seems to be how it goes, right? There's not like a real deep dive into it. Like, why are our people so geared towards picking up that sugary drink and doing it? Like, why? It makes no sense. Why? Like, why? And I wish there was like a more broader study, like, hey, is there a certain thing that we do? And I mean, obviously marketing, product placement, things like that, I still struggle with that sometimes to this day, but I'm able to walk away from pop just as easy as I ever could. Like right now, bottle of water. I think I'm BSing. Got a cup of coffee besides that. So that's just kind of, I'm trying to. It's not easy, but we were just talking about the food dyes here a second ago, and I think it's a great thing that they're moving towards the natural things. The FDA is approving it. I know everyone's like, oh, we want the government out certain things. Yeah, we do want the government out certain things. The government shouldn't be involved in every little thing and every little aspect of our lives, but certain things of this nature, yeah, I think that, maybe not like concrete they're involved, but I definitely think that there needs to be a lot more publication of the things that they're allowing in our food, things that touch our bodies, medicines, any of that. To a degree, there should be a lot more public information. And, and again, I will say not everything is completely fact, but I do think sometimes that correlations can lead to a lot of different conclusions. And I don't think we talk enough about that. Not everything, what do they say? Not everything makes sense, right? Sometimes things happen. Even science can't figure it out, right? But sometimes correlation makes sense, and that's okay. Correlation doesn't mean that impacts everybody the same way, but it can bring up tendencies, right? It can bring up things that tend to happen. Whereas to me, in certain studies, settings, things of that nature, it tends to just focus purely on the fact, and I think that that's a bad thing. Because not everything is not, you can't prove everything concretely because people are so diverse. So I think it's just dangerous to put everybody in that category. Let me know what you think. Like I said, the FDA is coming out with 3 new natural food dyes. A lot of them are going to be used in a lot of our common everyday products. A lot of it junk food, a lot of it not. I wish that they were trying to push some of this stuff a little bit faster, but hey, the process is going. Um, like I said, there are goals to eliminate petroleum-based synthetic dyes in food by the end of 2026, which is a fantastic thing for anybody, no matter who you are. Um, comment below. Let us know what you think in these videos. Share it. Let's get this word out more. It doesn't even mean that I'm right. These are just my opinions. But I'd like to hear from more people. What do you think? It matters what you think. The more we talk about it, the more that it's going to get out there. The more that, hey, this is what we're thinking. This is what this person's thinking. People pay attention to those things. I never thought my videos would take off. And I mean, I'm not like, some star hit or anything, but I'm getting a whole lot more traction than I ever thought I would. So, comment, like, subscribe, follow, share, shoot me a message, whatever you feel like doing, and I look forward to hearing from you.